Hello, Celeste here. So much of my work these days, actually all of my work these days, is around embody the body practices to feel, to process, to transform, to ascend through understanding and through using the body. You'll see a lot, in fact, all of the stuff that I'm presenting, even on the topics I've presented many times. We go so much deeper because we really go into the practice of where do you feel it? Where does it resonate? Where does it sit? How do we move through it? That's the important part. How do we move through it? So that the body, ultimately what we're going to is we're evolving, we're ascending. And ultimately this body is becoming of a higher vibration. And in order to do that, we have to, in order to get the light into the body, we actually also have to understand how we process all our trauma and release trauma through the body. Not mentally understand, but physically do it. So just a word of caution. And what I've noticed so often, more and more, is people's reluctance, perhaps unwillingness. Perhaps it's a case of just not understanding, just not because we're not used to 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 working and to learning with the body. We're used to, and we've always been taught to learn and understand things through the head. So I noticed such a quite a resistance from a lot of people to work with and through the body, and to still expect things to make sense here and then for it to change forever. And that's no longer the case. That's no longer good enough, because this is the vehicle, the body. Well, this is the vehicle that we use for ascension. And because this is the vehicle for ascension, it's also the vehicle we use to, that's where the trauma sits, or that's where the judgments sits. That's where all the past lessons sit. And unless we can really harness that ability of us to use the body through movement, through feeling, through sound, through all of the embodiment practices that through our posture, through everything, unless we can actually tap into the body, we're missing out a great deal. We're actually missing the whole point. So I noticed two different, call it strategies, coping mechanisms that people use to avoid going there. And the first one is the checking out, the not being present, the mentally checking out, the bringing in of just the thought, the chit chat, the default addictions to picking up the phone and scrolling through the phone when we do embodiment work, or running to maybe a default, just not being present. It's similar to a flight, the fight and flight response, where it's just mentally checking out. We're just not going there. So I don't have a problem if people are going there, but I do want to point it out that if you find yourself checking out, and that's why I keep on referring to the three principles that I use in all my workshops. And the first principle is that principle of being present, not just mentally present, but physically and embodied presence, like a wow, I'm here, I'm showing up, a feeling and a deep bodily resonance of being present, a tingling, a sensation, us opening up to the here and now through the body aspect. So that's one strategy, or let's say a mechanism that people use, that I've noticed. And even myself, I notice all these things in myself also, where I mentally check out when a situation is uncomfortable. The other one I notice is when there's judgment, either of the process or what's happening, or of ourselves. Oh, I can't do this to a so-and-so person, or even the excuse, I'm just to my head, I can't do this type of work because it's just not me. Or we judge the circumstances or the teachers or the messengers that come across our path. And I always say, one of my other aspects, my other principles of being in a workshop or in any encounter is, apart from being present, is to be curious, because that curiosity it takes you away from that judgment. In the judgment, you're not in your body, you're out there, you are fighting. It's the fight response. It is something externally that you think you can manage to not go inwardly, not necessarily into the emotions, because that's part of it, but really into the body. How does the body respond? What needs to be set free? Where's a blockage? A lot of people are very uncomfortable on that. So I have to say, I just have to have another caveat here, that sometimes there's a trigger where, like I say, where we can easily judge because there's a trigger in us. We feel it. But sometimes it just doesn't resonate. Sometimes something just doesn't resonate. Now, it's a very, very fine line. And unless you really know the body and really can speak from a perspective of a deep level of feeling it, of knowing it, more than just a thinking it, it can be very hard to tell whether it just doesn't resonate with you or whether it really is a trigger that you are perhaps not facing. Because triggers are all about unhealed trauma. You must know that. So, but sometimes there's this thing of, look, it just doesn't, I don't like it, just doesn't resonate. But when you start knowing your body, you'll realize that, hey, this is not the truth. It actually does trigger me. It actually does have an impact. It takes a level of maturity to really get to know when something doesn't resonate, or when it is when it is still a trigger. And the key to this all is the body. So I'm coming back to knowing thy body, understanding thy body. And in order to really know it, is important that we start exploring the possibilities and the work and our reactions with the body, through our sound, through our breath, through our movement, through our sensations, through our posture, through the way of using our body. So all of my work, even the retreats that's coming up, I go into that level. So again, if you feel uncomfortable, I'm not going to make excuses. I'm going to stand in for the work I do. So you may feel some of the work is weird that we're going into. Some is just hard. Some you are not ready for. Now, my appeal here is, if any of that is coming up for you, please come, because that could be exactly what is needed for you to break through, to liberate yourself. When something is weird, when something is uncomfortable, when something is just maybe even too scary, because in that there can be tremendous liberation in just facing that. Now, I always say, I'm not going to push you where you are certainly not prepared. It's a one thing if it doesn't resonate, but I'm not going to push you. I'm going to certainly encourage you, inspire you. And yes, perhaps I am going to push you a little bit, but I'm never going to, let me rather say, I'm never going to force you, because your evolution is your free will. Your ascension is, you manage that. I can inspire, I can help you, I can guide you, I can provide a platform, a safe space to explore it in, and that is definitely 100% what I'm going to do. But I'm also going to require or ask a yes of you, a really embodied yes. So yeah, it may not resonate at all, and that's all good. But if there's just an inkling or just a spark of you that's like, hang on, there could be something in here if I can dare to just go into my body, if I dare to stop judging, if I dare to stop checking out, there can be tremendous liberation. There can be tremendous freedom. There can be such a life of fulfillment for you if you can dare to just get out of the head, the traditional way of doing that. So that's my appeal to you. If there's the slightest little bit of a yes from you, I'd like a resounding yes, but even if there's the slightest curiosity, use that. Let me know. Let's chat, and I can tell you more about some of the work I'm doing. I can help you expand. I can I can give you more information even that can make you feel better empowered to make some decisions. Don't just dismiss it. Don't just either check out or or judge. Notice when you do any of these things, and a lot of us do. And then again, the last caveat: if it doesn't resonate at all, no big deal. Then hey, you don't need to waste my time, and I don't need to waste your time. But if there's the slightest hesitation, let's get forward. So I'm going to post some of the links to my retreats, some of my work. That's how I work. And fabulous if you're on board. If you're the kind of person, or if you have the slightest curiosity of what it could do for you, let me know and see how we can work together. So much love to all of you, and speak to you soon. Bye for now.